So hello everyone. So today we have a Vaidehi with us, who's a data analyst in American Express. So let's get to know her. So Vaidehi, welcome you into the Geeks for Geeks today. So can you share about yourself? What is your background, how you started and how you are right now as a data analyst?
Okay, thank you so much, Sahil. It's great to introduce myself here in Geeks for Geeks. So, to start with, I have a commerce background, post which I did my graduation in economic honors from Hindu College. And that is where I realized that I have this really great interest into numbers and also into business. And that was one of the things which actually pushed me and helped me explore more into data analytics and therefore data as a field. Post which I did my master's in analytics from SRCC, particularly MBA in analytics. And there I did a couple of internships. My first internship, if I tell you about, was as a marketing analytics intern in Indigo. And the other one which I did was as a data science intern with Sparks Foundation. So both of these internships actually amalgamate my experience with data. And that is how I started with data as a field.
That's really great. You had quite a good journey overall. So what are the resources which you use? Because you are from the commerce and switching to a data analyst and data field itself, you might have to transition from like completely different transition to us. So which are resources you have used or how you went into this field itself?
Very rightly said, Sahil. So one of the things which actually helped me initially, which I think which is very important for the uh, data person, is that they should be very well versed with statistics or econometrics, because these are the very fundamental concepts which you really need if you want to kickstart your career into data. So I think as an individual for statistics, I can suggest a basic statistics resource, which is by ND Vora. And if I talk about econometrics, that was something which was a part of our DU curriculum. And that was an econometrics book by Gujarati. So this is pretty much about the statistics part. Now, the other part which comes to data is all about the coding, where you have to really have a good command over languages like SQL, Python, or R. And then on the visualization side, that's for Tableau or for Power BI. So I think these were the resources which are directly referred from YouTube. And now if I talk about a higher level, which is apart from data analytics into data science, AI ML part, I think that was the Geeks for Geeks course which I actually referred to. That was from beginner to advanced level. So this is what I would like to recommend all of you if you want to actually have a good command over the data science field.
Thank you for that. Okay. So as you mentioned, like you have went with the resources and stats, and obviously maths is a very really important part. And as we all know, also like people who are aspiring to a data analyst, that's also a part of their curriculum, that we have to have a coding skills in Python, SQL, and the maths part itself. So according to you, like how much like in your day-to-day life as you are a data analyst, in day-to-day life, how you are using these tools to process your data, to work with this data tools itself?
Okay, so right now when I'm working with American Express, one of the most important things that we are working is with analyzing the credit spending by our different customers, by our customer base. So the very most important thing which comes here into play is the database management. And I think database management, the most important tool here in this case when you are dealing with big databases, is SQL. You should know very well how to write the SQL queries. You should know how to optimize the queries, because here the data is very big and you should have a really good command over it. So that is where you need SQL. And then I think in order to manipulate and do take out various statistical insights for the data, it is really very important that you should have a good command over Python. Now pandas data frame also plays a very important role into this. So these two things, and then again, like whenever you have to analyze different things regarding the spending pattern of a consumer, be it the average spending or be it the maximum spending, how has it been throughout, through the analysis of the median mode, the measures of central tendency and dispersion. It's really very important that you should have a good command over the statistical analysis part also. So I think these three things are really very important. One thing more which I would say is the visualization, because that is where how you will be able to tell your story to the customers or to your clients. That is most important, and I think Tableau or Power BI can be helpful tools in those cases.
Definitely, like obviously, storytelling is something which actually helps you present the things. So definitely, and as we have went into your job profile itself, so can you tell us like how was your day in a data analyst as a data analyst in American Express? Like we know that that's a very big brand. So how was your day? Like how you spend your time? Like how much time do you spend in the meetings or the work experience or the like chilling time also? So if you can highlight that part.
Yeah, so a typical day in American Express is actually very exciting and working. We don't have a lot of workload, if I tell you. Even the timings are very chill for us. We are working in close collaboration with the US marketing partners. So our timings are typically around 1 to 9. Okay, so 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. So that's quite a chill time for us. In the very start, we have our daily call. That is, a daily catch up call for around half 1 hour, where we are actually introduced to our daily deliverables.
Okay.
And then I would say after that we get back to work, and then we have the lunch with our teammates. And yeah, the work keeps on going on. There's no micromanagement, one of the greatest parts in American Express, I think. And yeah, the work is pretty much chill because you are able to deliver it by 7 to 8, and it's not like you have to completely immerse yourself into the work, so it keeps on going on in a very chill way. A very good work life balance is there in American Express.
That's definitely, and I hope that after reading this, after seeing this particular interview, they'll not start giving you more work.
I will make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. So as like you are as a data analyst working, and obviously there will be a lot of teammates also there with you from the same data analyst profile and this data science, data engineering, and many other fields also. So how do you see all these domains, like data scientists about data analysts and these, like how do you see all these domains in a practical part?
Okay, so if I talk about the practical part, talking about data individually right now, I think the very most important thing that comes as a part of the initial stage is the collection of the data. The collection of the data is in itself a very difficult thing, because it's like the source of truth. Getting the right source of truth is a very important thing. And
Definitely.
then once you get the data, how do you deal with the messed up data? The exploratory data analysis is again one of the most difficult parts for a difficult part, where you need to actually deal with the data. How would you like to clean it? How do you present it? Then when you actually get the data in the most clearest and the nicest form, you are able to do analysis on that, and then you are able to drive insights. So first part, this thing, getting the data and dealing with the messed up data, organizing the data. Then I think second comes the data analytics part, where you are actually pulling the data and trying to find out insights on that thing. Okay, now insights could be on the just on the basis of the data, like you pull the data and you present it as it is. The third part on the part of the data could be as a part of the data science, where you are actually making use of the present data and trying to forecast about the future things or the
Definitely.
future patterns. So
Mhm.
I think these are the three things, and mostly I think this should go in this manner only. As you go more and more deeper into it, you will get to know more insights on it.
Definitely, completely correct. So as you said, that obviously we do follow proper projects methods to collect the data, start processing, and then finally coming up with the final results. So as you see, like data is like every company is dealing with the data nowadays, and a demand for this job profile is going very rapidly. So how do you see this role requirement for this role in the future itself, like in the coming future, and how do you see these rules itself?
So I think data, for if we talk about any of the industries, whether it be finance, or if we go for HR, or we go for marketing, or we go for operations or supply chain, I think data is really, really very important, because all we are as businesses concerned is for the profits. And we really want profits, for which we need the past data of the customers, and then we are able to churn it and get the future predictions on that part. So I think it's really very important. If I talk about the different industries, talking about the most important industries in today's world, which is our medical and healthcare industries, even though they collect the data of their patients, like the past data of their patients health, and they are able to predict and analyze that how is it going to be the impact on their health. on that part. If I talk about the supply chain management, which is again very important, it also depends and works on the data only. There is real time monitoring of the data insights, and therefore it also becomes a really important thing. Now, if right now I'm working in the banking industry, where again we are analyzing the spending patterns of the customers and trying to make profit on the part that how we can improve the spending pattern. So I think this way it's going to have a lot of application and scope in the future. It is definitely going to have one of the booming fields.
As your explanation says itself, like you have a very good experiences going on and you're learning a lot from experience. As you know, like there are a lot of aspiring data analysts as going on in the market itself. So what advice would you like to give to them? Like what should they do and how should they be, like they will be more successful to apply for a job, or for like whichever kind of advice which can give to them?
Sure. So, for any individual who's trying to transition into the data science field, I think one of the most important things, if they want to transition, is that they should have a really good hold in maths and statistics, because it's a sort of dealing with the numbers. So that is one thing which they should have. And second thing is that they should have that innate inclination towards coding as well, because coding is something which is not everyone can have a great command or interest over. So I think that the amalgamation of these two things will definitely help an individual to get into it. Additionally, one last thing, if they really want to apply for some job, one thing which will definitely give them a kickstart over the other individuals, or an edge over the other individuals, would be to do some kind of live projects or internships. Hands-on experience into these things would be a really great advantage for the other individuals to proceed ahead in their data science career. A GitHub repository would definitely be helpful in that case, putting your projects into it.
Definitely, like practical experience does help them a lot, and it will give them, because the market is very much big and the people supply is also very big. So you need to be like students need to be more active and need to present something better than others. But
Definitely.
as you're into data analyst, like when you're transitioning, let's go back to some past. So when you're
Mhm.
transitioning, what all challenges which you faced, like while with the job part or with the learning part, or which all challenges you faced when while transitioning to this field or while grabbing a job itself?
Yeah. So, yeah, there were a lot of challenges which I faced initially. I think the very most important thing here is that they demand a lot of experience from an individual.
Definitely.
And experience is something which a fresher obviously doesn't have. So, how can they have an edge? Again, I think one thing which helped me a lot were the live projects and the internships. So, I think internships is definitely one thing, because that will obviously let you know that how you are raw and how you are actually working over those things, and you are having an industry exposure on that thing. One thing is internship, second is the live projects. I think live projects into the different coding languages, like from SQL or from Python, if you are able to prepare a live project on those things, or you are even working on, if I talk about artificial intelligence and ML, and try to project it and put it in your GitHub repository, I think that is going to be really very good, because when you are going to present it in front of the interviewer, you have the full knowledge about those things, and you are therefore able to win the confidence of the interviewer. So I think this is the most important thing that one should have: data oriented resume.
That's definitely a good one. As and just one question which came to my mind, like as you said, like you are from commerce and you switched to this part, so I believe you are good with the numbers, as you already mentioned. But how, like I do want to know, like as you mentioned, like SQL, starting with the SQL and Python, how was it like? Because I know that commerce people does not work with the coding at all, and they are not very much with the, like, they are good with the Excel, Microsoft, and as per my knowledge. Okay, I'm not saying anything, but like how was your transition, like when you started working with this Python and SQL? How was your first experience working on these two?
So, pretty interesting question. Initially, like I told you, when I was in my grads, in economics grads in Hindu, that was something where the first time I was thrown into this, the programming part. But I think that was pretty much Excel around that time, and
Mhm.
that was pretty much basic. So that was something which I liked a bit. Then I actually, further tried to explore. by doing by learning languages. So that was initially where I found a bit of a problem, because it was a completely new thing. For a person who's coming from a computer background or a programming background, it would be easier to grasp things. But I think all you need is that push or that innate inclination that okay, you're finding it interesting or not. So initially it was a bit difficult for me to grasp the concepts or understand things, but within more understanding and practicing it on a daily basis, I was able to have a command over these things, and then it was fine. Like my personal experience would be that if someone is from a non-technical background, it's not necessary that they won't be able to grasp things. It would be easier for them. It's just that you require a lot of practice and regularity into things. That's it.
That's really definitely a very great insights which you have given. That is really great. Just to know, like as you are into the field and you will be also seeing your seniors also there, like there'll be manager who will be having like a lot more experience than you also. So how do you see like this domain as a data analyst, data science, and whole domain itself? How do you see them in like next 5 years or maybe 10 years?
So, my managers or the people who are above me, like I feel they have a whole lot of opportunities that are open to them. Right now, we are particularly into data analytics. Like if I talk about myself, I am right now with around 1.5 years of work experience into data analytics. But my managers, they have had a more kind of experience into data science as well, where they have also worked into other things like logistic regression or decision trees. So there's a whole lot of thing regarding the future prediction and other kind of opportunities which are available. Right now it's just not into this particular domain. They can also get into the other kind of things. Right now we are into fintech, if I talk about American Express as an organization. But I think if you have a good knowledge and good hold over data science, you can definitely switch over to other fields as well in the market. Like I told you about supply chain analytics also, and like into Flipkart and delivery, and there are other very good organizations also. So there's a whole lot of opportunities which are out there.
From this answer itself, I do come up with one more question. I hope I'm not exaggerating it more. So I hope you are fine. So, like as we know, as from my experience, also I'm saying like people do say that we do have a domain knowledge. If a person have a domain knowledge along with the data analyst or data science or any domain data domain, if they have a domain knowledge, this does give them a very added advantage to the field when they are applying for a job or for some particular region. So do you think that that is applicable? Like the domain knowledge is a required thing, or it's play an important role in the job part or in this field itself?
So, like, I want to say one thing: knowledge is definitely a one thing which gives you the edge over others. Because if you have a domain or an industry knowledge into a particular thing, that definitely helps you in understanding the kind of data you are dealing with. Because, like I told you, the very first and the most important part in case of the data is that you are able to collect the actual data, or you are actually dealing with the right source of truth, and that is most important. And I think having the domain knowledge is definitely an edge that one has over the others on that part. And if you have knowledge in data science also and data analytics also, apart from that, definitely as you work more and more and more, you keep on learning more and more. I think that there's no end to learning about data science or data analytics. It's a huge wide
Definitely.
field. Yeah.
And it's still evolving a lot. So yes, like the new domains are coming up every day as we see and as we were moving forward itself. So like let's not speak more about this one. Like uh, can you like as you have 1.5 years of experience itself, and I know like people when we are working as I was also working, there are a lot of places where I used to work on a project and we got stuck badly. And sometime it happens that there's a very small thing only which just get fixed. And so can you share some kind of these challenges which you face and you came out to be like some memorable moment for you, which you still remember out of those experience itself?
Sure. So initially when I joined American Express, I was struggling a bit with the things. Like I was immediately given a new project, and I had to understand a lot of it. Though there were individuals and my manager who was always there to support me and help me along, but when you join an organization, there are some things which are expected from you. And there I believe that when I was handed over the project, my first task was to optimize the queries. So when you join, you have a basic decent knowledge about the programming languages, but when it comes to optimizing, that's a level which becomes a bit higher over it. I think that was the turning point where I was able to learn more. I actually switched from a bit advanced, from a bit beginner level to an advanced level, and that is where I feel I was able to learn more and acquired a new level of skill. And I think that was one of the memorable moments for me, where optimizing the queries was one of the difficult things I faced. And there was automation also that was expected from my end. So these two things were actually very important at that initial moment and helped me a lot into learning things.
Okay. And just out of query, like as we know, like ChatGPT is also there, and many people do use this. So do you guys also use this ChatGPT for query building and for these kind of things?
No, right now we are not using Chat GPT for query building or anything. But if there are like some of the errors, something which is we don't have much of an idea about there, then we can actually refer to Chat GPT. But I don't think that there is so much reference to Chat GPT on that part. Sometimes it's required. That's it.
Because I do know people like they are completely spending their time with the ChatGPT, like fixing the problems and those kind of things. That's why I especially asked that in the industries it does not work and apply at that much, that you can just copy there and just paste it over here. That will not gonna work definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, like finally, if you go with like now, you might have asked this answered this question in your interviews also, like how do you see yourself after 5 years or 10 years maybe?
Okay. So how do I see myself after 5 or 10 years? Like initially, my focus right now is to learn more and more. I have just entered into the data analytics field, and I feel that's a lot. There's a lot more to learn and explore. And as you gain a lot of practical experience, you keep on learning. So initially, I really want to learn. I want to progress through the field. I am right now working into data analytics with a part of data science, but in the future, I want to get more deeper into the data science domain, and hence after 5 to 10 years I want to look into the data science field and progress a lot into it.
Okay, so any final words which you like to give to our aspirants or to other peoples who are watching this particular one, we're going to watch this
Yeah,
final.
so one final word that I want to give is that there are a lot of people who find this data field a lot more captivating, and they really want to explore it. Many of them are there who want to transition into it as well, but there is always that blockhead in their mind whether they will be able to deal with data and code as well or not. But I think they should definitely give a try. One of the blockheads into people's mind is that if they are coming from a non-technical background, that is actually something which is stopping them from even trying it. I would say that no, it's not at all a thing like that. As you study more and more and get into the deeper fields of it, as you keep abreast with the latest knowledge on the data science, you will be definitely able to get into it. It's just about referring to the right resources, regular mastery and regular practice, and then we can definitely get into it. So that's
Thank you, Vaidehi. That's really inspiring words from you itself. Uh, Thank you. That's all for we have. If you have any comments, then you can just pin me down. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sahil. It was great. Thank you.